Oakland used superb defense. And power. The power being ignited by their superstar slugger, Jose Canseco, who set the stage early with his first October blast. The A's Dennis Eckersley closed things out on this Wade Boggs strikeout, and the celebration began in the Oakland dugout. The Red Sox know they must win tonight as they look to their super pitcher, Roger the Rocket Clemens, to even the series up as it's Game 2 of the American League Championship Series. Live from Fenway Park in Boston, it's Game 2 of the American League Championship Series. It's the Oakland A's and the Boston Red Sox. A frosty night here in Boston. Temperature 42 degrees, the wind chill at 34 degrees. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. The Red Sox find themselves down 1 game and facing the prospect of being 2 games back when they head west to go to Oakland. And they realize the fact they didn't win a game in the Coliseum this year, losing in all 6 tries. So that's pressure. And they're putting the pressure squarely on the shoulders of Cy Young Award winner Roger Clemens. He'll go against 16-game winner Storm Davis. And Joe Morgan, that's a lot of pressure to put on one guy in Roger Clemens.
Well, I think you're right, Gary. If I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm worried by some of the quotes I read in the newspaper from the Boston players today, such as Roger will lead us. Roger will rise to the occasion. I think it should be we will rise to the occasion. Yesterday, Bruce Hurst tried to lead them, but the other guys didn't make any contributions. It will have to be a team effort. Roger can lead them, but the other guys will have to contribute.
Also part of our broadcast team is Reggie Jackson. Reggie, the Red Sox lost 6 of their last 7 in the regular season. They batted 190. They hit 194 in their loss yesterday. Who's going to get this club started?
Gary, they have not scored runs the entire month of September. In the last 2 weeks, everyone knows that they've played very poorly. Jim Rice, Wade Boggs, Mike Greenwell, they have not been scoring runs. They've not been driving the ball like they need to. And here's a ball club who hit 283 over the entire season. Somebody needs to step forward and get some base hits.
We'll continue our pregame here from Beantown, Boston, as we'll have an interview with Wade Boggs, the American League batting champion. Also the skipper of the Oakland A's, Tony La Russa. Back with that in just a moment. Game 2 just about ready to go.
The 1988 American League Championship Series. Brought to you by Merrill Lynch, where relationships are built on a tradition of trust. And by Acura Legend and Integra, precision-crafted performance exclusively at your Acura dealer.
Historic Fenway Park in Boston. The Oakland A's had quite a year. They won 104 games in the American League West. That is a record. They clinched the flag on September 19th. Their skipper is Tony La Russa. He's a lawyer, an outstanding manager, and Reggie Jackson spoke to him earlier.
Tony, you're pitching Storm Davis tonight. Why him over Bob Welsh?
Well, Bob is going to pitch Game 3 because he's had special success in the Coliseum, something like 12-3 with a low ERA. Storm has been good on the road and at home, so we figured he'd be a better match for Game 2.
You have a different lineup tonight. Do you tailor your ball club to a pitcher you're facing or a ballpark you're playing in?
Some of it. We're basically a right-hand hitting club against everybody, but I do play Louis Polonia in left field against right-hand starters. Very often I'll catch Ron Hassey against a right-hand starter. They're both in the lineup today. Tony Phillips is playing second base. And every once in a while I'll switch positions in the lineup. If somebody's had special success, he hits a little higher, try to get him that extra at bat late in the game. The other guy that struggles will be a little lower. For example, Carney and Hassey hitting 5th and 6th. McGuire is going to hit 7th because he struggled here early in his career against Clemens.
Let's go to Joe Morgan with Wade Boggs.
Wade, it's not often I talk to a 5-time batting champion about failure, but yesterday you didn't have a typical Wade Boggs day. What happened?
Well, the thing about it is that I did something that Wade Boggs doesn't do very much of, and that's strike out, and that's what made the big news. But the big rap on Wade Boggs is that he never drives in any runs and these kinds of things. But statistics show that with men in scoring position, I'm hitting over 360, and with men on third with less than 2 outs, I've delivered 17 out of 24 times. So it was just a situation yesterday. It was a big game, and some days you do it and some days you don't. And yesterday was the day that I didn't.
I was looking at you in the 9th inning. You struck out against Dennis Eckersley. He said he's never struck you out before. Were you seeing the ball well yesterday?
I was seeing the ball well. I'm not making excuses, but possibly not playing in 4 days might have hindered my swing a little bit, but I really don't think so. I battled Stewart the first time up and got a base hit on a ball low and in. So I just think it was a situation that Eck threw a ball in a place that I wasn't expecting it to go, and when you've got 2 strikes, you're guarding the plate, and I just saw the ball and took a bad swing at it, and he struck me out.
What about after the ball game? All the questions about Wade Boggs. How tough was that to handle after the game?
Well, it was tough, but that's the part of the game that when you start playing Little League and you're age 6, that when you grow up to be a major league ball player, you've got to deal with it. And you're going to fail in this game, and you're going to succeed. And some days you're a GOAT, and some days you're a hero. And Wade Boggs was a GOAT yesterday.
When we return here to Fenway Park, we'll go to the field for the introduction of the starting lineups as Game 2 between the A's and Red Sox getting very, very close.
Boys and girls, we direct your attention to the third base foul line for the introduction of the starting lineup for the Western Division champion, Oakland Athletics. Number 10, manager Tony La Russa. Leading off, playing left field, number 22, Louis Polonia. Batting second, playing center field, number 42, Dave Henderson. The third batter, playing right field, number 33, Jose Canseco. Batting cleanup, the designated hitter, number 39, Dave Parker. Number 4, Carney Lansford, batting 5th, playing third base. Catching and batting 6th, number 24, Ron Hasse. At first base, batting 7th, number 25, Mark McGuire. Batting 8th, playing second base, number 2, Tony Phillips. The shortstop, number 7, Walt Weiss, will bat 9. And warming up the bullpen for the Athletics, the starting pitcher, number 14, Storm Davis. And now the starting lineup for the 1988 American League Eastern Division champion Boston Red Sox. The manager, number 35, Joe Morgan. Leading off, playing third base, Wade Boggs. Batting second, playing second base, number 17, Marty Barrett. The right fielder, batting third, number 24, Dwight Evans. The cleanup hitter, playing left field, number 39, Mike Greenwell. The designated hitter, batting fifth, number 14, Jim Rice. The sixth batter is the center fielder, number 12, Ellis Burks. Number 38, Todd Benzinger is at first base, will bat seventh. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, number 3, Jody Reed. Catching, batting ninth is number 10, Rich Gedman. And tonight's starting pitcher, number 21, Roger Clemens. Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to the area just in back of second base where the Boston University ROTC will present the colors. And to honor America, we now invite you to stand. Please join Miss Julie Michael in the singing of our national anthem. Miss Judy Michael.
Just set. We'll be back with a final thought on this game as we approach the first pitch of game number 2. The A's and the Boston Red Sox. The A's leading 1-0. Fenway Park in Boston, and Joe Morgan, as we get ready to start this baseball game, what can we focus on?
Well, I think that Roger Clemens has an overpowering fastball. He can overpower most hitters in the league. But I think the Oakland A's have 3 real good fastball hitters: Jose Canseco, Dave Henderson, and Dave Parker. I think any attack they mount against Roger Clemens tonight will involve one of these 3 players.
Reggie, your thoughts?
I would say in my career of playing baseball over 20 years, some of the people I've learned to respect are guys that are capable of rising to the occasion, especially at times like this when it is so necessary. I believe that Roger Clemens is one of these men because I've seen him do it myself when I played for the California Angels. I look for him to have an outstanding ball game tonight, depending on how his health holds up.
Some talk that he's maybe worn out. We'll find out. Roger Clemens, 18-12, going against Storm Davis, who won 16 games, a career high. Back with the batting order. Also an inside look at the 2 pitchers. Game 2 just about ready.
the 1988 American League Championship Series. Brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, Today Chevrolet. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By MasterCare Car Service with over 1,500 locations nationwide. Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. And by Rolaids and Acid. Relief. You know how to spell it.
From Fenway Park, Gary Bender, Joe Morgan, and Reggie Jackson. Let's check now the batting order in this game for the Oakland Athletics. Polonia will be leading off and playing in left field. Henderson had a pair of hits in the game-winning RBI yesterday, batting second. Canseco with the home run, batting third. Dave Parker seeing his first action in the championship series. Lansford has been dropped down from a leadoff position. Hasse starting for the first time. He did come in a relief role yesterday. McGuire all the way down to the 7th position now, playing first base. Tony Phillips, who was in left field yesterday, now playing second base. And Walt Weiss is the shortstop.
And the Boston defense will have Todd Benzinger at first base. Marty Barrett is the second baseman. Jody Reed will be at shortstop. Wade Boggs is at third base. Mike Greenwell is in left field. Ellis Burks is in center field. Dwight Evans will be in right field. Rich Gedman will do the catching, and on the mound, Roger the Rocket Clemens.
Clemens 18-12. He led the majors in strikeouts. He had 8 shutouts. Let's call on now Paul Molitor, the Milwaukee Brewers, for the inside pitch.
Roger Clemens, justifiably called the Rocket Man because he has one of the most explosive fastballs in the game. And the amazing thing about it is, along with the velocity, he has tremendous control. It's just very rare to see someone who can throw that hard and that accurately. But one thing underrated about Roger is his breaking ball. He has a tremendous slider as well. And you mix in an occasional forkball, and you can see why Roger's one of the best pitchers in the game today. Now, if the Oakland hitters can make him get the ball down in the strike zone, it's going to be a little bit easier for them. They have to make him throw the ball lower.
Clemens 6-8 at home this year. Let's check the umpiring crew. Ted Henry behind the plate. Tim McClellan at first. Greg Koch at second. Third base is Ken Kaiser. John Shulock in left field. And down the right field line, the crew chief, Don Deckinger. Polonia, who has been hitting .300 now, in his last 40 at-bats with 12 hits, will lead things off. He was a pinch runner yesterday in the ball game. Excellent speed. He's kind of a pesky hitter. Began the year in the minor leagues and then was called up. And Joe, this lineup change for Oakland.
Well, I think he moved McGuire down in the lineup because he has not been able to catch up with Roger Clemens' fastball as often as you think he might. And also, he's moved Carney Lansford down to 5th to protect Dave Parker. He wants a little hitting in there. And Ron Hasse has swung the bat well against right-handers all year.
And then the one change for the Red Sox, as you look at this temperature, 42 degrees, Reggie, is a Jim Rice moving up to the number 5 position in the batting order.
Jim Rice is 14 for 30 against Storm Davis.
Polonia takes the first pitch, and it misses for a ball. There's the Green Monster. 315 feet in left field. Call strike. 1-1. A lot of pressure on this guy, trying to even up the series. Strike 2 call. Clemens, 6'4", a 220-pounder, had tried to become the first pitcher since Jim Palmer to win 20 games 3 years in a row, and failed by 2 this season. That evens it up to 2-2.
That's the fork ball that Molitor talked about. He does not throw it very often, but when he needs to strike out and he's ahead 0-2, he'll try to get the hitter to chase it.
2 balls, 2 strikes on the leadoff man. Jody Reed. One down, and that's going to bring up Dave Henderson. Henderson, who went 2 for 4 in the game yesterday. His RBI ended up being the game-winning RBI.
Center field, Henderson.
Boy, you wonder where the A's would have been if Dave Henderson hadn't arrived on the scene this year.
Well, especially with the injury to Dave Parker that kept him out for quite a while. Dave Henderson helped pick up the slack. He and Canseco really carried him down the stretch.
former Red Sox. In fact, former Red Sox haunted this team yesterday. Lansford scored the winning run. This guy drove in the winning run, and Eckersley got the save. All of them former Boston Red Sox. A strike.
Hey, Roger Clemens right now is doing his best to establish that fastball, and he's doing it in a big way.
And he just emphasized what you said, Reggie. 0-2 on Henderson. He's made a statement here early. One down. On deck is Canseco. Just missed, and it's 1-2. There's the former Red Sox we're talking about. We mentioned all of them except Baylor, who started yesterday as a DH. Two and two.
I think if Roger Clemens realizes the job he has to do tonight, but you can see the excitement that he brings to the ball club, that he brings to the crowd. It didn't seem like the crowd was even at the ball game yesterday, even though Bruce Hurst pitched quite well.
2-2 on Henderson. Right field, Evans. 2 up and 2 down. And when this guy, Jose Canseco, comes to the plate, the crowd's alive. They react on everything he does. And he was the guy yesterday that got the A's started with a home run in the 4th inning.
Reggie, a strikeout pitcher always brings excitement to the ballpark. A guy that throws hard, a guy that hits the ball out of the ballpark like Canseco. This is your classic confrontation here. A fastball pitcher against a good fastball hitting power hitter.
On Canseco. Should it continue? The DH, Dave Parker's next. There's the home run. Strawberry second. McGuire in the 4th position. That was strength against strength.
I think these kind of confrontations are what really turns people on. It's like Borg against McEnroe, Russell going against Chamberlain, and now we've got Canseco going against Roger Clemens.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. Top of the 1st. Boy, you can hear that mitt popping clear up here. 1-2. This guy will throw around 95 miles per hour and then go above that. That was a 91-mile-an-hour fastball there. Right field. Evans. His second put out of the inning, and Clemens comes out strong. 1-2-3 order. No score for the A's, and the Boston Red Sox coming to bat.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, let's take a look at the amazing Boston Red Sox batting order that Storm Davis is going to face. The batting champion of the American League, Wade Boggs, leading off. Marty Barrett at second base. Dwight Evans in right field, batting third. Mike Greenwell in left field. Jim Rice now moving up to the number 5 spot as the DH. Ellis Burks, the center fielder. Todd Benzinger playing first base. Jody Reed, the shortstop, and Rich Gedman behind the plate.
And the Oakland A's defense will have Mark McGuire at first base. Tony Phillips moves in from left to play second tonight. Walter Weiss is the shortstop. Carney Lansford is the third baseman. Luis Polonia moves in to play left field tonight. Dave Henderson will be the center fielder. Jose Canseco will be in right field. Ron Hassey will do the catching. And on the mound, George Storm Davis.
He put together his finest season, a career-high 16 wins. Here's Paul Molitor of the Brewers with the inside pitch.
Storm Davis is right out of the Jim Palmer mold. He likes to throw straight over the top with a good live fastball. But it's important for Storm to be able to get his curveball over as well to set up that good live fastball. Now, he's more of a fly ball pitcher than a ground ball pitcher, which could cause him some problems in Fenway Park, especially if the wind is blowing out towards that green monster.
So Davis has to contend with the Green Monster, and right now Wade Boggs, who struck out yesterday 2 times, leaving 7 men on the base paths.
Gary, I don't think Wade Boggs feels any pressure at the beginning of this ball game, but I think he will if he gets a runner in scoring position.
Davis misses inside, and it's 1-1. You know, Boggs has struck out only 34 times in 1988 and 584 bats.
I tell you what I heard, an interesting statistic.
Fouled away, and it's 1-2.
Jimmy Lefebvre told me he thinks that he's only missed the ball completely 34 to 35 times. I mean, missed the ball completely.
Well, that's the reason he has a .356 lifetime batting average.
He's got nothing in common with me, does he?
That evens it up now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Boggs will be followed by Barrett and Evans.
No, also interesting here tonight is Wade Boggs' lifetime against Storm Davis is only hitting 180.
Foul, and the count will stay at 2-2. Storm Davis, a pleasant surprise for this baseball team. He was picked up from the San Diego Padres, had a miserable season. And look at this. In his first inning thus far, he's had some difficulties. He settles down. Inside, and it's full now at 3-2.
I remember him coming over here last year when I was with Oakland. He was a lost soul. He was looking for support and help, and he got that support from the Oakland A's, Dave Duncan, and Tony La Russa.
He puts Boggs on. So the leadoff man is on, and Marty Barrett, who was 0 for 4 yesterday, batting in the second position, comes up.
17.
Now this is where Barrett's so tough. He's so difficult to strike out.
Barrett.
Good hit and run man, and Boggs down at first as Barrett, who had a career high 65 RBIs this year, is up. Strike from Davis.
Manager Joe Morgan has made a lineup change by moving Jim Rice up in the order. The fact that they have not scored many runs lately, you would think that he may try to hit and run or put some guys in motion to do something differently.
Left field, going back, Polonia, and he has room to make the catch. And Boggs has to go back to first. That wind blowing in, Reggie, you can see the flag. It's an east wind, and Joe Morgan was telling us, but Joe Morgan, who's the Red Sox manager, was telling us that he's had about 8 balls he thinks knocked down this year that would have gone out otherwise.
Oh, I can remember playing here several times. That ball is a good ball to hit. It is up in the strike zone. We see him take the bat, cock it, get ready. Nice pass through the strike zone, and a real good swing. That ball was up in the strike zone, and that's why he got the ball out up near the wall. The ball didn't get on the wall because the flag is blowing in.
That brings up Evans, who struck out 3 times yesterday, going 1 for 4. He did have a double.
In my career playing here, I do know that that flag blowing in can make that fence move another 50 to 60 feet further back. It's surprising how large the park will play when the wind blows in.
1 strike now on Evans. Inside. Now that's one thing Storm's learned to do, is to move the ball inside. They had to start to get him to brush people back a little bit. Scored only 1 run their last 19 innings. We're talking about they're hitting 190 the last 7 games of the regular season.
Now, after they won so many ball games in a row, I think it was 24 here at home, they've only been 29 and 29 since that at Fenway Park.
Seems like too many good bats in that lineup to have that kind of difficulty. 2-1, and to right center field. Canseco has this one gauged. 2 out. That'll bring up Mike Greenwell. Greenwell, kind of an interesting story on him. He is waiting for his wife Tracy to deliver their child, and after the game yesterday, he got on a plane and flew down to Fort Myers, Florida.
Left fielder, Greenwell.
Two away, Boggs at first, and he starts him out with a strike.
So far in this ball game, Gary, Storm Davis seems to have a better fastball than I remember seeing him have. He is throwing the ball pretty well.
Boggs still down at first with 2 down. Bottom of the first, no score. That missed outside, and it's 1-1.
He has been throwing the ball hard all year long. That is what Dave Duncan has told me earlier today. Almost as hard as Dave Stewart at times.
To center field. Henderson got a good jump on it, and that'll retire the side. So after the leadoff man Boggs reaches by the walk, Storm Davis slams the door. No score after 1. The Red Sox Down one game as we start the top of the second inning, and Dave Parker will lead things off. He'll be followed by Carney Lansford and then Ron Hasse. Parker's hit very well against the Red Sox this year. Hit .361. He had one shot out in center field in Fenway Park. To short, Reed has to back up. And very quickly, Dave Parker's erased.
That was not a routine ground ball to shortstop. Jody Reed had to back up and take a tricky hop there. Dave Parker hit that ball with a lot of overspin. We'll get a look at it here. He's a little late on it, but there's a lot of overspin. Watch this big hop. See how he kind of jumps at Reed. That's not a routine ground ball. Nice play.
That brings up Carney Lansford, who was 1 for 4. Jody, the guy who was installed at shortstop when Joe Morgan took over as the skipper of the Red Sox. Lansford has ball one. Lansford moved down in the starting lineup. He was the leadoff man in yesterday's game. Strike call. Carney's had one of those years where he's been hot and then he's been ice cold. He was hitting over 400 on June 4th, and then at the tail end of the season hit at a 196 pace. 1-2.
What we see from Roger Clemens here is not only is he overpowering, but he's hitting spots with his fastball. He's able to hit the outside corner, and that's a tough pitch from a guy that throws 90 miles plus.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Carney, and he strikes him out.
He came inside with a high fastball there. That's more of a strikeout pitch, the high fastball off the inside corner. We'll get another look at it. You see Rich Gedman is set up on the inside, so he doesn't move his glove very much.
94-mile-per-hour fastball.
And there you can see Carney Lansford just a little tardy on that fastball.
He'll be tardy on a few of those fastballs. First strikeout of the ball game for Clemens, and Ron Hasse coming in. Hasse playing in place of Terry Steinbach, who started yesterday's game, and then Hasse came in late to catch Dennis Eckersley. Strike one on Hasse. Boy, right now he is just throwing some real heat up there.
It'll be interesting to see how many people Roger Clemens does strike out. A lot of people feel that a guy like him, they're strong when they're striking people out. They're on their game. When they're losing it, and they're not quite themselves, they're not striking people out.
2 strikes now on Ron Hasse. Outside.
His last couple of starts, his strikeouts were only 5, 3, 7, 4, an indication that he wasn't quite the Roger Clemens we all had come to expect.
Well, a lot of speculation. He caught a line drive off the bat of Ricky Henderson on his elbow. 1-2. Call strike 3 and 2 strikeouts in the inning. So he's retired the first 6 men in order. We go to the bottom of the second. No score. Bottom of the second inning. No score thus far. Trying to keep every part of the body warm. The water bottle. We mentioned the chill factor. 34 degrees at the start of this game. It'll get colder.
I think the weather's as cold as the bats are for the Red Sox. Jimmy Rice may be a guy that I am looking to see him do something offensively tonight.
This guy has done it through the years. What a remarkable player. 8-time All-Star, the MVP in '78 in the American League. High fly ball, left field. Plenty of room, though. Polonia's out there. 1 away. Tomorrow on ABC Sports, the Dodgers will battle the Mets in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. Action begins live at 8 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow on ABC, Al Michaels, along with Tim McCarver and Jim Palmer, will be bringing you that game. The series all even at 1. 1 down now, and Ellis Burks comes to the plate. Burks was 0 for 4 in the game yesterday. Outstanding all-around player for the Red Sox.
There are a lot of people that think he's going to be the next superstar in the American League. Everybody you talk to.
He made a great catch yesterday in center field coming in. He has had problems with a wrist that slowed him. He had surgery on the ankle, and he's fought through all of that.
Everyone talks about the great year that Greenwell has had, but as soon as they get done giving him accolades, they say, hey, look for a guy named Ellis.
Oh, what a stab by Lansford. Line shot, and Carney was there.
Carney Lansford has been one of the best defensive third basemen in the American League for the last 3 or 4 years. And he's playing in shallow, which makes this an even tougher play because he has to react so quickly. Burks hit the ball like a shot.
Has a different style. He gets down very, very low when he's getting ready to field a ground ball. His get-ready position is really unorthodox.
Even though he struggled at the plate, he's never let that affect his defensive play. Benzinger up. Todd was 0 for 4 yesterday. 1 ball now on Benzinger. We're in the bottom half of the 2nd inning with 2 down.
That is called being a pro. Don't let it affect you.
It's easy to say sometimes, though, isn't it? And hard to do. Strike, and the count evens at 1-1.
We see an overpowering fastball from Roger Clemens. He's almost dominating the Oakland A's players at this point. But Storm Davis is getting the job done in a different way. He's changing speed, using all of his pitches. I think pitching is the art of keeping the hitter off balance. And what Storm Davis is doing is using his fastball, moving it in and out, and taking a little bit off his breaking ball.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Benzinger, and he just missed with that one.
That was an excellent curveball, a good 2-strike pitch.
Storm Davis said he tried to model himself after Jim Palmer. You know, Davis began his career with the Baltimore Orioles. 2-2, and it's now full at 3-2. He said the harder he tried to be like Jim Palmer, the worse it got.
I was going to say, he better hurry up.
Well, now, wait a minute. He's got a few years left.
Well, Palmer won 20 games 8 times and 260-some victories. That's not too shabby.
Promising beginning in Baltimore, a miserable year in San Diego, and now he's blossomed this year, but he walks Benzinger with 2 down. That's his 2nd walk of the ball game. You might recall, walked the leadoff man in this game, Wade Boggs. That'll bring up Jody Reed.
Jody Reed.
Reed was 1 for 2 yesterday and smacked a double. .06 per 9 innings.
That's high.
Well, it's real high for a guy that is not an overpowering pitcher. You know, Roger Clemens or Nolan Ryan, they may walk that many people because they're going to strike out a like number, but Storm Davis is really not a strikeout pitcher, and he should have a little better control.
1 ball to count on Reed. He gets it over and evens it at 1-1. That fastball, by the way, was 88 miles per hour, so not quite the velocity of Clemens, but pretty swift. 1-1 to Reed, fouled, and the count goes to 1-2. Jody Reed hit .293 this year, and one of the reasons that Joe Morgan elected to put him at shortstop was that he came to Morgan, he says, I can hit .300. Well, he was a little below that, but certainly has done an outstanding job replacing Spike Owen at shortstop, and you can see how they responded to Reed in the starting lineup.
I think that Johnny McNamara's last few days here, he had put him in the lineup and started playing him every day.
2-2 on Reed. This guy worked out 3 times a day in the off-season. Guy like you, Reggie. That's fouled, and the count will remain at 2-2.
Did he say 3 times a day?
That's right. As
Once
much
a
as
day.
you eat for breakfast, I hope you work out 3 times a day. You ever seen anything like it in your life, Morgan?
He eats the same way at lunch.
Wait till they get the expense account.
I've been training, working out hard.
Yeah. Full count now, 3-2. 2 down, a runner at first, and Benzinger.
Storm Davis has missed with his last 4 breaking balls, his curveball, and I think he needs that to be successful against the Red Sox over a 9-inning period.
Popped up, short center field. Coming in is Henderson, and he'll put it away. So he's walked 2 men in 2 different innings, and it hasn't hurt him. We'll return to Fenway Park after this word from our local stations. We've played 2 here at Fenway Park. No score. The Goodyear Blimp America from Houston, Texas, with pilot Larry Chambers at the controls, and our cameraman is Bill Sullivan, providing all these pictures from high above. The Goodyear Blimps have been covering major sporting events for over 60 years, and glad to have him with us here. Mark McGuire lead things off. McGuire batted in the 5th position yesterday. He's been dropped to number 7. Now, he's had a tough time against Roger Clemens in the past. And if you look at a graphic on Mark McGuire, I know what you're going to say, Joe Morgan. You're going to say he hasn't had enough at-bats to really know if he can hit this guy.
8 at-bats is not enough to decide whether he can hit Roger Clemens. I believe you have to have at least 25 at-bats before you can develop a pattern.
Now, McGuire is a good breaking ball pitcher, but you would think he could hit that fastball as big and strong as he is, Reggie.
Well, you can think a lot of things, but if you can't hit it, it doesn't matter what kind of thinking you do.
Or how strong you are, right?
That's exactly true.
1 ball, 1 strike. Clemens has erased the first 6 men to face him as we start this 3rd inning.
There are some players that just have trouble with certain kind of pitches. I think Big Mac has trouble with the fastball up, with this kind of mustard on it, with this kind of speed.
Well, Roger Clemens is also making perfect pitches on Mark McGuire here. So that could be one of the reasons he's 0 for 8. You don't expect a guy to make that many perfect pitches over a 25 at-bat period.
1-2 to Mark, and it evens at 2-2. You know, you look back in a series early, the A's came in here, and both McGuire and Canseco were 0 for 22. So Roger has gone right at the meat of this order and done an outstanding job. McGuire strikes out. He has now struck out the last 3 batters.
Well, he will never be able to hit this pitch against Roger Clemens. That's a high fastball, over 90 miles an hour, and it's up and away. You cannot handle that pitch from Roger Clemens. You have to be able to lay off of it.
And if he keeps swinging at that pitch, then Roger Clemens, with the control he has with his fastball, is going to stay letter high all night long.
3 straight strikeouts. And now Tony Phillips batting in the 8th position. Tony yesterday started in left field, now playing second base.
That's the same pitch right there that Tony Phillips just swung at. A fastball up. Tony Phillips is not going to touch that baseball.
One strike on Tony, and right now, I think you said it very well, Joe Morgan. Clemens is pitching some perfect baseball.
He's overpowering everyone with this high fastball, and you have to lay off of the pitch. You can't hit it consistently, so you have to lay off of it. But the reason you swing at it because it's eye high, and you see it better out of his hand.
And another strikeout. 4 in a row.
This is where you talk about a guy with great control. He's showing you his great control right now. He is throwing that ball up in the strike zone, letter high, consistently, and that's where he wants the baseball. He gets ready, he cocks, he gets the foot ready, he stays in on the ball, but it's by him. No chance.
Who said Clemens was worn out? Who said he was having tendonitis problems? Who said his side was bothering him?
Who dat?
Wasn't me.
He seems to be getting stronger. He did not strike out any of the hitters in the first inning, but he's starting to really let it go. Maybe there was a time that he wasn't sure his arm was okay. Now I'm sure he feels that he's in rare form, and he's going to let it go.
Walt Weiss at the plate, and 2-0 now on Walt Weiss.
I am a believer that the month of October, games like this, television, big crowds can make some people, special people, rise and have great days and just get above mediocrity. If he's mediocre for the month of September, you're not going to see it tonight.
2-0 on Weiss. And a nice stab by Benzinger. 3 up and 3 down once again. 2 more strikeouts in the inning. Roger the Rocket Clemens has come out here looking like the Cy Young Award winner. Bottom of the 3rd, Gary Bender, Reggie Jackson, Joe Morgan. No score. Storm Davis, only blemish thus far for him in the first 2 innings. He walked 2 men, but he was able to get out of any difficulty as Rich Gedman will lead things off. The 9th man in the batting order. And Davis comes right at him with a strike. Gedman yesterday had 2 base hits, going 2 for 3 in the ball game. And it evens at 1-1. Storm Davis, we talked about, he had a career year in wins. He had 16. He also won 10 straight. He really got on a roll for this team. Swings through it. Foul tipped it.
You know, he has been a fella throughout this year and really throughout his career that has not completed a lot of ball games. He takes full advantage of that outstanding bullpen that set the American League record for saves. There's only one complete game this year.
There's the 10. Juan Agosto of Houston's a reliever who had that mark that tied him. And, of course, Steve and Viola, who many people feel will be the Cy Young Award winner in the American League.
He's had a great one. I think what Storm Davis tries to do is just give it all he has. And what it usually has made him do is give up and just kind of wear out in 5 or 6 innings.
2-2 on Kedman.
There are a lot of pitching coaches who stress to starting pitchers, go as hard as you can for as long as you can, and we'll bring someone in to relieve you.
All third strikes, so the leadoff man is out.
That was a perfect pitch. Fastball inside.
The ball actually starts inside and tails back over the plate. See the catcher's glove? And it tails back on the inside corner. Good pitch from Storm Davis.
That's his first strikeout.
That is a place where you are vulnerable when you do have 2 strikes on you. You're just trying to protect the plate.
Wade Boggs, who walked back in the first, looks at a call strike.
You're just trying to protect the plate, put the bat on the ball, and put the ball in play. And that is where you are vulnerable when a guy makes a perfect pitch with that kind of fastball.
That graphic, of course, yesterday's action, 1 for 4, the 2 strikeouts, and the only RBI of the game for Boston. There's the average, 366. That's the second highest average in Boggs' career. Puckett, look at the average he put together, and Greenwell third.
A lot of people have forgotten about the great year that Kirby Puckett had. 230-some hits, 120-some RBIs, 356.
And plays a mean center field.
Super player.
Boggs gets a piece of that one.
We talked about the fact that Boggs left a lot of men on base yesterday for the Oakland A's, against the Oakland A's, but I tell you what, they set him up early in the ball game yesterday, I believe. They established that they would come inside hard a few times, and then late in the ball game they went away, and I believe unconsciously he was looking for the ball inside a couple of times when he was struck out by Eckersley on the high fastball away and also against Dave Stewart. I think they established early to him that they will come in, and that puts a dent in your mind.
2-2 on Boggs, and another strikeout.
Fastball inside corner again.
So Davis now following in the direction that Roger Clemens has established tonight. 2 down.
Watch this pitch. He's going to start it inside off the plate. It's way inside. Now it tails back on the inside corner.
They were trying to pitch him inside, too, because you see where the glove was. He believes it. He's just a little confused right now.
Call strike on Barrett. Barrett light out to left field the first time. You can see what he did yesterday in game 1. So Davis with his first 2 strikeouts of the game here in the 3rd inning. If you like pitching, you gotta like this one so far.
Well, they're getting the job done 2 entirely different ways. Clemens is overpowering, and Storm Davis is just a magician out there right now.
2 strikes on Marty Barrett. 1-2.
Making some awful good pitches, Joe.
Dave Boggs may establish a record for himself in strikeouts. He's had 3 already in this championship series. Third base, Lansford. And McGuire had to reach for that, but he got it, and it's a 3-up and 3-down inning. Outstanding pitching through 3. No score at Fenway Park.
The 1988 American League Championship Series. Brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
22.
So much history here in Boston and in this ballpark. Built in 1912. Yesterday posted the 57th consecutive home date where they've had 30,000 plus in Fenway Park. Top half of the 4th, Roger Clemens will face Polonia, Henderson, and Canseco.
You talk about a history, Gary. You know, the Red Sox were involved in some history they've got a chance to taste tonight. In 1986 against the Mets, they were down 2-0. They won 2 games, the first 2 games, and wound up losing the World Series.
Third base side going over there, but with no play is Boggs. 2 strikes now on Polonia. Polonia grounded out the first time. Tell you what, though, you talk about going down 2-0. The Red Sox don't want to get in that position.
Well, especially with the fact they've lost 6 consecutive ball games in the Coliseum in Oakland.
Series this year, the A's won 9, the Red Sox 3. What is it? 10 of 12 times in this championship series when the team lost the first 2 games, they couldn't pull it out. Grounded in front of the plate, and Roger off the mound. And he threw it away. Polonia will head to second. The ball down the right field line. Evans comes up with it. Polonia makes a turn, and the throw comes into third. Well, he's been throwing strikes at the plate, but he couldn't throw a strike at first base.
Now, what we see here, Gary, is Polonia's speed fooled Roger Clemens. See, right here, he thinks he has plenty of time. But now he looks up. Now he tries to rush, and he throws the ball away.
They're going to rule that a base hit and an error. The base hit given to Polonia, and then advancing to second on the throwing error.
Well, he thought he had more time than he did. He looked up and saw Polonia flying, and he had to rush his throw.
That's where it pays to hustle at all times. You hit a ground ball back to the pitcher or just a topper sometime, bust your tail. It may turn out on the good side. You never know what can happen in this game.
Isn't it amazing, though, how his control was just fastidious, and all of a sudden he couldn't make the strike at first base. Dave Henderson up.
We'll get another look at it here. Roger's there in plenty of time. See, now he takes his time, then he looks up, and he sees that Polonia is almost there, and he rushes his throw. We'll see how the Oakland A's play this, Gary. They will have to try to get the ball to the right side. You saw Henderson square around the first pitch, but he can hit the ball to the right side, so they may take the bunt sign off.
1 ball on Henderson, and he fouled that one, I think, off of Gedman. 1-1 the count. After retiring the first 9 batters, all of a sudden a little opening with Polonia down at second.
We'll get another look at it here. You see Dave Henderson trying to go to right field. He's trying to move the runner along by shooting the ball to the right side.
Clemens knows that, and I'm sure he's going to try to keep that ball right in there on his fist with that 90-plus fastball.
Henderson the first time, fly to right. 1-1. Square round to punt, and it's a call, strike 2.
Henderson runs up the bunt, and it's a good fork ball from Roger Clemens.
So now with a count of 1-2, Lefebvre hangs the sign up. Polonia down at second. Very, very good base runner. He stole 24 bases this year.
I'm actually surprised that they have tried to bunt Roger Clemens twice in this situation, because I think Dave Henderson is a good enough fastball hitter that he could have taken the ball to right field swinging rather than trying to bunt. It's very tough to bunt a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, Joe, I also think it's kind of tough to just push that ball over there to right field, too, when you throw so hard. He's throwing awfully hard tonight.
Well, that should be academic now with 2 strikes on him as Gedman goes out to confer with the Rocket. Parker waiting along with Tony La Russa.
Here is a time where I've seen Roger Clemens get doubly tough, and he's got himself in this position. We'll see how tough he really can get now.
He strikes him out. I think that's getting doubly tough. That's 5 strikeouts now for Clemens.
What he's showing is he has good command of his fastball tonight. This is a good 2-strike pitch. Most of his strikeouts tonight have come on the 2-strike high fastball. And when the fastball gets up here, it may be 95 miles an hour belt high, but when it gets up there, it seems like it's about 105 miles an hour. You cannot catch up with it.
And right during the replay, you can see that ball was by him.
1 down now. Canseco, who flied to right the first time. That's impressive, the way he threw that one. One strike on Canseco.
If they call that pitch up in the strike zone like that, the A's will not have a chance to hit him. That was a high fastball out of the strike zone probably, but if they call that pitch a strike, the A's are going to be in for a long evening.
Lona going back to second. Reed jumping behind him.
That is not a balk. You can fake a throw to second base, but not to first.
One strike now on Canseco. A man at second, one down. He's going to third. Here's the throw by Getman. And he got him. Boy, that was a late call at third by the umpire. I wasn't even sure that he gave the outside.
We'll get another look at Polonia. Had a pretty good jump. Getman makes a good throw. And we'll see if he gets in there or not. He got him right on the hand. It's a good call.
Now watch Ken Kaiser. Well, you can't see him in this, but he gave one of those slam dunk moves rather than the thumb. But anyway, Lona is out, 2 down, and Canseco now the count of 2-1. Well, you wonder going to third with your big bat at the plate.
I don't think it was a bad play this early in the ball game. You're trying to get something started. Clemens has been dominating so far, so you try to get something started by being aggressive on the bases.
2-2.
Joe, I want to let the big guy try to drive me in. If the guy with 124 RBIs can't drive me in and 42 home runs in this ballpark, as you see a very quick tag by Boggs, if he can't drive this guy in, then who is? So let's stay there and let us see if we can do the job now.
Two and two on number 33. And that'll stay 2-2. I think he's got to get a new piece of wood. He busted his bat, so he'll go back to the dugout. That gives us an opportunity to remind you that ABC's college football will feature regional action as the Buckeyes of Ohio State take on undefeated Indiana, or a Pac-10 matchup, the Washington Huskies and the Sun Devils of Arizona State from Tempe. Action begins live at 3:30 Eastern. Be sure now to check your local listings for the game in your area. And of course, Reggie, you know something about Arizona State.
The Sun Devils. I was a Sun Devil myself. I've made a few trips up Mount Cush.
That's right. You played football there. I don't think a lot of people remember that.
Sure did.
So Canseco is back with a 2-2 count. And now it's full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. What a confrontation between these two guys. Roger wants a new baseball.
Let's see if Roger's going to answer the test here with a fastball, whether he's going to throw him a breaking ball or a fork ball.
I think he'll go after him with his fastball, but I think he'll try to get it up or away.
3-2. Right field, Evans. And that'll do it. So after Malone. An error, cut down at third, and this guy took over from here. No score after 3.5. In Fenway Park, they talk about the Green Monster, but see that screen up above? That screen was installed in 1936 to save the windows across Lansdowne Street. There were a lot of complaints about home run balls crashing through the window.
I say they're cheap. They're trying to save the baseballs.
That wall out there, extended by the screen, reaches up to 60 feet. Anyway, Dwight Evans to lead things off. No score as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning.
3-4-5 hitter. This is what's termed the meat of the order.
Evans the first time flied out to right, and now Storm is behind 2-0.
Dwight Evans is a very good cripple hitter. Cripple pitch is a 2-0 pitch or a 3-1 pitch. You usually get a fastball, and he is a good triple hitter.
High pop-up. Phillips at second base is going to take it. 1 out. Well, we talked about the Green Monster. What it's like to play out in left field. Well, the guy that should know is Mike Greenwell. Well, we'll talk to him a little bit later about it, but Greenwell's been out in left field, and a horror of horrors playing out there, right, Reggie?
That's right.
First ball hitting Greenwell, and that ball hooking into the crowd foul.
They have had some pretty good left fielders here. Only 4 of them over the last 50 years or so.
Now let's go to that interview. Here is Greenwell talking about left field.
You know, we're great players, and I have some big shoes to fill, and I know that. But I try to tell everybody I'm just going to go out and be Mike Greenwell, and hopefully that'll be good enough. I can't try to beat Ted Williams. I can't beat Carter Stinskin. I'm not Jim Rice. I'm Mike Greenwell, and hopefully someday someone will look back and go, they had 4 guys in 50 years, and maybe I'll fit right into that tradition.
Been pretty good thus far, hasn't it? Going to be the runner-up in the MVP balloting. Most people feel the American League. 1-1 now on Mike Greenwell. 2-1. 1 down. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Jim Rice due up next. This guy, a lot of people feel, has potential to be a Triple Crown winner. 3-1. And Davis now, for the first time, he's walked 2 guys and now falling behind some people as we're in this 4th inning.
He's an average of walking more than a little more than 4 guys a ball game, so he may be on pace.
3-1 on Greenwell, and he walked him. 3rd walk of the game.
I was saying earlier in the show tonight that I think someone needs to step forward. I think this man could be Jimmy Rice. He's had good success against Storm Davis over the years. He's 14 for 30. That's why he's moved up in the order. He's hit 5 home runs in the month of September. Lost his job here earlier to Mike Greenwell. He's got something to prove. He had a run-in with a manager. He wants to show people that he's still a great player.
And now Davis drops behind. 1 ball, no strikes. Greenwell at first.
I think there are a lot of people out there who have judged Jim Rice's career here in Boston by the one incident that happened with Joe Morgan. But I don't think you can do that because he's been a solid player for 13 years here.
2-0. See the wind blowing in, that east wind over the monster and left.
Another situation, Joe, where you say he could be, here's a cripple pitch, 2 balls and no strikes. He's got to take advantage of this now. A lot of people say Jimmy Rice can't pull a ball anymore. Here's his opportunity.
Look at that. Runs batted in. 14-23, and he popped it up. Lansford coming all the way down to home plate. 2 outs. So 2 pop-ups in the inning. 1 by Evans, and now 1 by Jim Rice. And that'll bring up Ellis Burks.
12.
Well, if he's going to be Mr. October, that's not going to help his cause.
And a fielder.
Mr. October sitting to our right is the reason I bring that up. Reggie, I guess the adrenaline must have been flowing when you were playing in those months of October.
I enjoy games like this, and I realized that you had to do it now. I stared it right in the face. You had to make something happen, and all the time I wanted to be part of that victory.
McGuire at first with Mike Greenwell. Burks the first time lined out to Lansford, you might recall.
But let's say this, in 1977 during the World Series, I got 1 hit in the first 2 games, and it was a blooper. From there on in, I did some hammering.
Did you have some sleepless nights?
No. Only after the series was over.
I'll leave that one alone. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 down, and a man at first. That's going to be out of play. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but when we go to Oakland, On a ball like that, you better stay after it because of all the area you have down the first and third base line in foul territory. Vast difference. 1 ball, 1 strike on Burks.
A lot of room out there. I used to complain all the time.
1-2. Davis trying for the 3rd time in this game to survive a walk. He walked a man in the 1st, got out of it, walked a man in the 2nd, now here in the 4th. One and two, center field. Henderson on his horse. He's going to have to hurry, and he made a remarkable catch. Dave Henderson got a great jump on the ball, and Burks took him as deep as you can go in center field.
Well, this is straight over his shoulder, similar to the catch Willie Mays made in the World Series. Very good play.
The only difference is those numbers are reversed. Mays was 24. We'll return to Fenway Park after this word from our local station.
The reason he makes this play, 2 reasons. He gets a great jump, and he runs right to the baseball. Soft hands. Keeps his eye on it all the time. Great play.
Burks is saying, why did I hit it to the 420-foot mark? Why didn't I pick another spot?
That's the 2nd time he was right. The 1st time up, he hit a rocket to Carney Lansford.
And Henderson, who made a great catch against the Angels that year, and also hit the big home run, and he has really responded. This is Parker. He'll be followed by Lansford and Hasse as we are now in the top of the 5th. No score. And Clemens just picks up where he left off.
That's a spot that Dave Parker is very vulnerable anyway, up and in. And when you have the real good fastball, you can go there all day long. But if you get it down and out over the plate, Dave can handle it.
Now, Joe, this is one of the 3 guys you said can handle his fastball.
Right. He can handle that one, not the one up and in. Not many people can handle the one up and in.
2 strikes. There's the breakdown thus far on the Rocket. Inside, and the count goes to 1-2. Well, Parker came over to the American League, the breaking ball league. He's probably wondering, what are you talking about, as they stands up against Clemens.
They say you like fastballs. They say he's a fastball hitter, right?
He likes ice cream too, but he doesn't like a gallon at a time.
That's the reason he weighs 250 pounds. He's been eating too much of that ice cream.
Not going to touch that one.
Don't tell him I said that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Straight back. Parker's been one of those guys who injured the thumb, was out 44 games. You got to hand it to the A's. They didn't panic when he went out and tried to make a trade. They hung in there until Parker came back.
Well, he hung in there because Dave Henderson did so well.
There was a lot of talk about them trying to make a deal, but they did not make a deal. They did hang in there. They talked a lot about Freddie Lynn.
Lynn, of course, ending up with the Detroit Tigers, flying in a little late, but he got there anyway.
And hit some home runs for him.
2 balls, 2 strikes on the leadoff man here in the 5th inning. Looked like Roger wasn't sure of the count.
And I'm sure that Roger Clemens does not believe that Dave Parker can hit his fastball, so I do not expect to see any breaking balls to this gentleman.
He's going to go inside with a fastball here.
And he just hit that one off the end of the bat. Boggs is over. That's a tough catch, and he made it. Kind of a strange catch, the way he came up with it. It almost got him. It looked like handcuffed, but Boggs stayed with it.
Gentlemen, has Wade Boggs gone in and changed his jersey? Is he superstitious? Here's a great play. He tracks that ball all the way, and an ice cream cone, and stays right on it.
Speaking of ice cream, tough to locate the ball the way he did, but he got there. It was one down, and Lansford, who was a strikeout victim, back in the second.
I think Wade may have gone in and changed his sleeves. He's looking for something with hits in it.
The 80s chicken, I'm sure, before the game. You don't know by now, he eats chicken in every way possible before every game. Lansford with one strike. One ball, one strike on Carney, and due up next is Ron Hasse.
Just watching Roger Clemens this inning, as I said, we're going to have to wait a couple of innings to get a real barometer on him tonight. I think he's lost a little bit off of his fastball.
1-2.
But that's still in the 90s.
I was going to say that wasn't too shabby there.
But I mean, I don't think he's throwing quite as hard as he was in the second and third inning.
Joe, are you looking at the same graphic I am?
They appeal down the first base line, and the count goes to 2-2. Tim McClellan down the first base line.
You know, on check swings, it's strictly up to the umpire's opinion at first base or third base if you're a left-hand hitter. A lot of times you can break the plane, you can break your wrist, but if they don't think you went, you didn't go. If they think you went, you went.
2-2, and that one hit his back.
Boy, I've gotten mad at some guys before. Almost want to say, why me?
I'm sure they picked on you all the time, Reggie.
Right.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Lansford now. One down. We're in the top half of the 5th inning, and there's no score from Fenway Park in game number 2. Three and 2 now. That one went high on him.
One of the things that happens to Roger Clemens during a ball game is he doesn't quite get on top. He doesn't quite turn his body sometimes to get back on top. He had a good rhythm early in the ball game, but when you see him throwing a lot of high fastballs without it being 2 strikes on the hitter, sometimes he's not talking properly.
3-2, and Lansford's hanging tough right now. Carney, of course, won the American League batting title when he was with the Red Sox in 1981. Eventually, he was replaced by Wade Boggs and moved on to the Athletics. This year, making his first All-Star appearance. Deservedly so. Hadn't gotten a lot of credit. Left field. Short. Coming in. Greenwell. Well, he's talking about playing left field with the best of them. That wasn't a bad effort here.
Well, you see him coming in very quickly, tracks the ball. Now he sees that he's going to be able to get there, and he wants to avoid a collision with Jody Reed, so he slides and he makes a good play.
Ball had a funny spin on it, didn't it? And it came off the bat.
Well, the ball was inside, an outstanding fastball. You know, a very good pitch from Roger Clemens again. The ball was inside, and he was jammed.
But Roger Clemens changed his motion on that pitch, Reggie. It looked like he slowed his motion down completely and threw the pitch inside. It was not the normal Roger Clemens style there. He changed up a little bit in his motion.
So there's 2 out now, and this is Hasse, who struck out in the second. I keep getting the feeling, Joe, that you're spotting something out there. You haven't given up on that theme yet.
No, I was watching him, and he slowed his motion on the pitch to Carney Lansford. He walked around the mound a lot then. I'm not sure he's completely okay right now.
Marty Barrett. It's a 3-up and 3-down inning. Well, thus far, Clemens has faced the minimum of 15 batters through 5 innings. No score as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Fenway Park in Boston. Seen some outstanding baseball through the years, and Tonight we're having an outstanding performance by this guy, Roger Clemens, along with Storm Davis. This is on tape, and we're just following him into the dugout, Joe, and just curious as to what he would do if his arm's bothering him, if there's any difficulty. As we begin the inning, it's going to be Benzinger along with Jody Reed and Rich Getman against Davis.
That's been the big question. If he's strong, he's going to be tough all night long.
Evens up at 1-1 on Benzinger. Benzinger walked back in the second inning. Davis thus far has gone through 4 innings. No hits, no runs, struck out 2, but he's walked 3. But thus far survived all of that.
He's not given up a base hit yet.
Straight back. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I see you're not superstitious.
We dispelled that in a hurry, didn't we?
Not my no-hitter.
How do you feel about that?
He's a pitcher anyway.
As the guys would say, that's professional courtesy, Reggie.
Straight back again.
You know, you're the only little guy that continues to get on me and get away with it.
I can be a quarterback, guys, but not a referee, all right? 1 ball, 2 strikes on the leadoff man. Staying alive. You know, we have been saying an awful lot about Clemens, but Davis is hanging in there pretty tough himself.
Certainly is. Got to say that Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan knew what they were doing when they put this guy in the pitch tonight, the second game in this playoffs.
1-2, and that's off of Davis. Lansford won't have a play. Base hit. So the first base hit of the ball game, and I don't want anybody to say that we jinxed it.
I won't say anything.
Benzinger hits this ball very hard back through the middle, and it goes off of Storm Davis's right leg. Carney Lansford tries to make the play, but he comes up with it and smartly does not throw the first base.
You know, Joe, what I think happened is I don't know how hard the ball was hit. I think Storm Davis was out of position to field the ball.
Well, he falls off to the first base side.
He's supposed to be in a ready position, square to home plate. He fell way over to first, and the ball hit him in the side of the leg.
Well, Davis has gone only 1 inning without letting a man get on base. That was the 3rd. And now has the leadoff man with a base hit, and here is Reed. All 1.
And you see a situation here where the Red Sox are having trouble scoring runs, and Joe Morgan's going to go to the bunt just to try to get a runner in scoring position here.
They got to manufacture something. Benzinger at first. The bunt is down. Davis has only 1 play. That's the first, and so the sacrifice is complete. That'll bring up Rich Getman.
A well-executed bunt play by Jody Reed. He bunts it down the first baseline. Storm Davis's only play is to first base. And the Red Sox have the go-ahead run at second.
That represented by Benzinger, so a job well done by Jody Reed. We saw Benzinger yesterday after the game. He got into a car, and he looked 17 years old. Boy, is he a young guy. Had some glasses on at the time. Getman. Line to Weiss. He caught it. And they're going to double him off a second. That is some play by Walt Weiss. He took that one just off the ground. So Benzinger double up. And Davis, who had given up his first hit, gets out of the inning. We played 5. There's no score at Fenway Park.
For consistent taste, Stroh's is spoken here.
Some play by Walt Weiss. He's made all the plays for this team, considered by many to be the leading candidate for the American League Rookie of the Year. Let's look at it again, Joe Morgan.
Gedman lines the ball towards shortstop. He waits on it, and he makes the catch, and he immediately looks at the second base umpire, Greg Coast, to make sure that he caught the ball. And there you can see he does make the catch. He shows it to the umpire, and he flips to second base for the double play.
Benzinger had no chance to get back. So McGuire will lead it off. He'll be followed by Phillips and Weiss. No score through 5. Both teams with 1 base hit. McGuire, the first time out, went down swinging. Popped up. Right field, Benzinger in foul territory. And he tried to come up with it. Great effort. One thing about landing in a crowd in cold weather, there's a lot of cushion.
One thing to remember here is that if the ball is in the stands, the fans have a right to it. They cannot reach out onto the field to interfere with him making the catch. But when he goes into the stands, they do not have to let him catch the ball. And they want their souvenirs.
Isn't that an umpire's judgment call, Joe?
No. If the ball is on the field of play, it's the umpire's judgment call whether he could make the play or not. But if it's in the stands, it's the fans' ball.
1 strike on McGuire. Now evens at 1-1. Roger Clemens giving up a base hit back in the 4th. Polonia then going to second on an error, was cut down trying to steal third as McGuire fouls it back, and it's 1-2.
McGuire is still having trouble with that fastball that's up.
He's getting a little closer each swing.
Home run duos.
Strawberry with 39 home runs.
Canseco and McGuire have hit over 150 together the last 2 years. That's a lot of home runs.
This guy had 49 last year. 3 guys in Oakland history have hit over 40 home runs. Third strike. 6th strikeout of the ball game for the Rockets. I mentioned 3 guys hit over 40 home runs. This guy did it. Canseco did it this year, and you know who the other guy was? Mr. Jackson.
This is what you call a great pitch. Fastball on the outside, black. Questionable call, you say, Joe? You know what they say when you're in the dugout? Rembrandt threw that pitch. Painting the outside corner.
1 down as Tony Phillips. He was a strikeout victim back in the 3rd. Again, Phillips starting at left field last night. Second base now. They don't have Glenn Hubbard on the 24-man roster, so this guy and Gallego will be playing second. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I would say there's nothing wrong with Roger Clemens. I thought he would come out and throw a lot more breaking balls or fork balls this inning, but I think he's regained his confidence in his fastball, and he's going right after it.
2-1.
Looks like he's throwing the ball awful well to me, Joe. He's got the ball up where he wants it, and he's getting behind the baseball. I have to agree with you. During that 1 inning, it did look like he was struggling. Maybe his mechanics were off a little bit where he got out of rhythm, but he certainly seems to be back now.
He's mentioned sometimes he tries to throw too hard sometimes. Gets out of that rhythm. Rounded foul. The count evens at 2-2.
Just hope his teammates don't make him throw too hard. He knows he's got to shut the opposition down. They're putting a lot of pressure on his shoulders, as we talked about before. They've got to score the guy a run.
Same could be said for Storm Davis's guys. He's pitching just as well.
2-2. Phillips will stand out. Storm getting 2 brilliant defensive plays, one by Henderson at center, and then Walt Weiss on that liner to short. Full count, 3-2.
A guy like this throws you a slider. He makes it awful tough because you've got to sit there geared up for that fastball, ready to fire at all times. He throws you a breaking ball, and he can catch you off balance. He can fool you.
Full count now on Tony Phillips with 1 down. That'll go foul and out of play. Clemens this year was career-wise, 1-4 against the A's with a 4.40 earned run average. 3-2 now to Phillips. stays that way.
He's still on top of his game as we take a look at the glove man on deck, Walter Weiss.
Weiss has made 2 fine defensive plays in this series. Last game, remember the backhand stab that saved a run in game number 1, and of course one a moment ago.
He's been making them all year long, they say in Oakland.
3-2 again to Phillips. Left center field, that ball is going to go to the wall. Phillips makes the turn. He's on his way to second. The throw by Burks and a stand-up double for Tony Phillips. Base hit number 2 for the A's. And with 1 down, here comes Weiss to the plate.
What happens here is Roger gets the fastball down. This is not the high fastball he's been throwing. Tony Phillips goes the other way with it and lines it up the gap in left center field. And he goes into second easily with a double.
Strong throw by Burks.
Pretty shot. Ball hit in the alley. But Paul Molitor said before the game started in the inside pitch, you got to make Roger Clemens get the ball down or you won't be able to handle it.
So Phillips in scoring position at second. Weiss at the plate. He grounded out unassisted to first base the first time.
Situations like this, the great ones, I always believe, have the ability to turn it up another notch. Joe, you've seen a few guys do that.
1 strike on Walt Weiss. Misses. Here's what Paul Molitor said at the start of the ball game.
Tony Phillips made him get the ball down, and he lined it in the gap in the left center field.
Boy, he fought him too, didn't he, on that 3-2? 1 ball, 1 strike on Weiss, and Clemens chases Phillips back into second.
One advantage the A's have in this situation also is that Tony Phillips at second base is a speedy base runner. He will not have any trouble scoring on a base hit, even if it is to left field, the short field here in Boston. He will still be able to score on a routine single.
Outside, and the count goes to 2-1. Weiss is one of the guys this year that it was just a bonus when he did anything at the plate. They just wanted his defensive prowess, but he's been a pretty good hitter, especially in the second half of the season.
We see here Roger Clemens is going with his second or third best pitch in this situation, which is unlike Roger. He's thrown him a couple of off-speed pitches, breaking balls.
I think Joe Walter Weiss has had some success against Roger Clemens over in Oakland when he lost that 1-0 game to Dave Stewart. Walter Weiss, the unknown man, was 3 for 3 against Roger Clemens, and the last time up he hit a sharp ground ball to first baseman Benzinger.
He was 3 for 3 against Clemens in that ball game. Ball strike 2, 2-2.
There's another hard slider from Clemens. That's a hard slider.
Now Gedman goes to the mound to talk to Roger. Tomorrow on ABC Sports, reminder again from Shea Stadium, the Dodgers and the Mets in Game 3, all even at 1, beginning live 8 o'clock Eastern, right here tomorrow.
They may be changing their signs between Gedman and Clemens, figuring that Tony Phillips may be tipping off Walter Weiss. I don't think so, but I'm sure they're not taking any chances.
2-2 now on Weiss. 1 down, and Phillips down at second. No score, top of the 6th. And he's worked it full now. So Phillips worked into a full count, smacked the double, and now we come full count to Walt Weiss.
But he's definitely not going after Walt Weiss so far with his fastball.
3-2 pitch. He got him. 7 strikeouts, 2 in the inning. Both of them on called third strikes. And that'll bring up Polona.
I think maybe he had lulled Walter Weiss to sleep there. He threw him a lot of breaking balls, as you were saying, Joe. But here, a perfect fastball, 90+ miles an hour on the inside corner of the plate, froze him stiff. Couldn't move. Is that called rising 1 notch above?
Well, I think what happened is he went back to his best pitch. Most pitching coaches will tell you, do not get beat with your second or third best pitch. He went back to his best pitch.
Bologna got the first hit in this ball game for the A's and lines that one down the left field line. Call, he reached on a play at first and then went to second on the throwing error by the pitcher Clemens.
I'm not so sure that was a hit, and to give that a base hit on the first hit of the game is a questionable call. Something a little, should I say, inexpensive or cheap?
Tell it like it is, Reggie. 1 strike, and that one goes high, and it's 1-1. Right now, Clemens has given up 2 hits. The double in this inning and trying to keep Tony Phillips down at second. Jim Lomberg, of course, since '67, taking the Red Sox to the World Series. I remember Gedman telling me he was 7 years old in Worcester, Mass. Watched that World Series.
We also saw the immortal Cy Young on the bottom there in 1901.
And wait a minute, time call by the home plate umpire. And he is looking towards the Red Sox dugout. Jumped out of there, so the count will stay 1-1. Nothing doing there. Joe Morgan looks like he's at ease.
Louis Polonia called a timeout, and the Boston Red Sox bench did not think he should have called timeout while Roger Clemens was on his motion to the plate.
Ted Hendry, the home plate umpire. 1-1 now. 2 down, a runner at second. 1 ball, 2 strikes. This guy was really upset with the A's at the start of the year. They sent him down to Tacoma to improve his defensive ability. Had an outstanding short stint with Tacoma. Come back and has been a real factor on this ball club. Tony La Russa, I was just telling him the other day, I said, I know you're a lawyer, Tony. I said, if I'm ever in real trouble, can I call on you? I said, I got great faith in you. He looked at me and he said, I know very little right now about that. I'm a little more concerned about the baseball end of it. But I would like to have him represent me, I think, if I was in trouble. He's made the right moves, hasn't he?
Good man, he sure does. He got all the right moves.
1-2, 2 out. Third strike, and he strikes out the side of the 6th. He just reared back and reached for something extra. We've gone now through 5.5. No score. Bottom of the 6th inning with Joe Morgan and Reggie Jackson. I'm Gary Bender. The top of the order now for the Red Sox. It'll be Boggs, Barrett, and Evans. 2 hits for the A's. Boston with 1. Storm Davis continuing for the A's. Boggs first ball hitting, and he's easily taken care of. Boy, you got to consider yourself fortunate to get by the American League's leading hitter that easily.
17.
I heard a spattering of boos in the crowd when he grounded the ball back to the pitcher.
I've got to figure, Joe and Gary, that these Boston fans here are not going to stand for too many more outs from Wade Boggs. They are impatient and waiting for a championship for a long, 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 long time.
1918. You remember that year?
Joe does.
1 out now. Here's Barrett, and Barrett, right center field. Henderson racing over. Canseco calling for it. He's got it. 2 down. It's getting colder, I believe, and as I said, these people here in the New England area know how to prepare for this type weather. Football weather in American League Championship Series action.
The Boston Red Sox this inning have swung at the first 2 pitches here in the inning and made 2 outs. Normally late in the ball game, you do not do that because you want the pitcher to work a little bit. But they swung at the first 2 pitches and made 2 outs.
You also want Roger Clemens to have some rest. Normally, Dwight Evans would take this pitch automatically just to give his pitcher a little more time on the bench.
Evans the last time popped up, fly to right in the first inning. Strike call.
Very, very quietly, Storm Davis is matching Roger Clemens 0 for 0.
You saw that graphic. He's averaged 6 innings pitched. Well, that's where we are right now with 2 down and a 1-1 count on Dwight Evans. Two and 1. The A's set a major league record this year with 64 saves from the bullpen. Talked to La Russa. He said he could use Eckersley if he had to use him 1 inning. He might use him with 2 outs to go in the 8th if he had to. 2-2 on Evans.
We are seeing some great pitches from both pitchers here tonight. That pitch is a perfect spot, low and away, and it's 2-1 on the count.
Now we have somebody running on the field.
That's Joe's pass. That's the pass. Joe left the guy a pass earlier tonight.
Well, they're going to have to get somebody out there. He's blowing up the game. I guarantee you.
You know, it's unfortunate that this is a great ball game. And all the other fans that are here wanting to watch are being disturbed by one individual.
I guarantee you that guy's got some problems. So Davis now will wait with a 2-2 count on Evans.
And a lot of times you see people walk up to players and players don't know how to act, or they don't know what to do, or they act a little timid or a little strange. You never know what someone can do, and there's living proof that someone can act really strange things.
2-2 to Dwight, and it's a full count of 3 balls and 2 strikes. No score. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. So a 2 down. That is the 4th walk of the ball game given up by Storm Davis. And Greenwell will come up. He got one of the walks in the 4th and then fly it out to center field in the 1st inning.
Left fielder, number 39, Greenwell.
Gary, I did an interview with Mike Greenwell yesterday, and he wanted me to say hello to his father in Florida, who's recovering from a heart attack, and he just wanted me to say hello. And we happen to have the same name for our fathers. Our first names both are Leonard. My father's name Leonard Morgan, and his father's name Leonard.
Also his wife Tracy, who's having to wait on that first baby. So this guy's had, I would imagine, some problems trying to focus in on everything. Greenwell with a chance now to do some damage with Evans down at first. 2 out. All strike, and it's 1-1. You know, Greenwell cleaned out his locker yesterday, and they found a bunch of baby rats in the bottom of it. I don't know how long he had gone without cleaning it out, but he better clean it out more often. 2-1. I know Fenway Park is old, but that's getting ridiculous.
Some of that cheese that was left in the locker by Dave Stewart last night with all that smoke he was throwing.
2-1, and now it is 3-1.
It's a good opportunity right now for Mike. He's got to take advantage of this opportunity. 3 balls and 1 strike, 119 RBIs, 22 home runs. That time we got to see something.
Dwyer holding Evans on, and a call strike, and it's a full count.
Let her fly.
Two pitch. The runner moving, of course, and going down to first for the 2nd walk of the inning. The 6th to the ball game is Greenwell. 2 on now, and here comes Jim Rice.
Maybe this is why he has just been averaging 6 innings per ball game. I'm sure that's going to get something stirring in the Oakland bullpen.
But he still seems to be throwing well, Reggie.
He still has good stuff on the ball. Here's Jimmy Rice. Jimmy Rice is 14 for 30 off him. Lifetime 467. You see Tony La Russa a little bit nervous right now. Jimmy's due.
Nobody up and throwing yet. Center field, Henderson, and he got there and dropped the ball. He dropped it. Scoring as Evans into third. Goes Greenwell.
That ball hits him right in the heel of the glove. That ball should have been caught, but it looked like Dave. I don't think he could say he was nonchalant on him, but it looked like he had it very easy, or thought he was going to have it very easily.
Boy, that comes on the heels of that great catch he made in center field back in the 4th inning.
No, a lot of times, and you know this, Joe, if you run on the heels of your feet, your eyes will bounce and jar, and you won't get a clear look at that ball.
So the error puts runners at 1st and 3rd. The Red Sox have taken a 1-0 lead. Burks at the plate. 0 for 2, and he was the guy that had that drive hauled in center field by Henderson. And now change. Dave Duncan coming to the pitching mound. 2 men up and throwing now in the A's bullpen. Nelson and Cataray. Duncan will retreat. 1 ball on Burks, and Morgan has the lead. All strike, 1-1. There they are. Cataray, the left-hander. One to Burks. Fouled it back.
Red Sox need to do something. I know I've said this more than once, but they need to do something to allow the crowd to get into the ball game and allow that atmosphere to do something for the ball club when Roger goes back on the mound.
Just missed outside, even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Greenwell at 3rd, Rice at 1st. A run is in. This guy should be out of the inning. Base hit. Greenwell to score. Rice makes the turn. He's on his way to 3rd as Canseco brings it into Phillips.
The fastball away, and Burks drills it to right field. It almost hits Jim Rice. If it would have hit him, it would have been the end of the inning because that would have been interference.
It looked like it did hit him.
Wasn't exactly a graceful move by Rice, but it was enough. You know, the base on balls didn't hurt Davis. He got away with it until the 6th inning. And now the ball gets through Hasse, but Rice cannot advance. But going to 2nd on the play is Ellis Burks.
You know, I can remember playing for Gene Mock. He used to always get your attention when you were on third base and say, be ready, be ready. You never know what can happen. And it didn't look to me like Jimmy Rice was ready, because he should have scored on this ball. And if he'd have been alert, they'd have had their third run.
Ron Hassey should have been able to keep it in front of him as well. He did not get his body in front of the ball.
One thing you got to remember, when Joe Morgan became the manager, he left the third base coaching box and moved Rack Slider over there. So that's been a change in that position for the Red Sox. That was scored a wild pitch. Strike call now. Benzinger, who had a single back in the fifth. Walked in the second. 2-0 Boston.
The A's have a base open here and a right-handed hitter on deck. I'm not sure why they're pitching to Benzinger.
Foul back. Reed is the next man up. Well, that's certainly one of those. Yep, we just mentioned a moment ago the wild pitch that advanced Burks to second. He swung through that one, a big strikeout, and finally ends it here. But the Red Sox able to pick up 2 runs. They lead it now 2-0 after 6. We'll return to Fenway Park after this word from our local station.